How y'all doing? How are you? How are you? I am the Roz Booker. I am the principal broker, CEO of Arbrook Realty, where we birth dreams and build legacies in real estate. So today we are going to dive into how to work with home buyers. This is good for first-time home buyers and those agents who maybe just be getting into the business and you need a fresh look and fresh perspective and a fresh start on how to get out of the gates and serve your clients well. Well, we're going to help you turn those jitters, those little bubble guts, into some awesome, passionate fire so that you serve your clients well. I've been in the industry approximately 30 years. Can y'all believe that this June 2026 is going to be 30 years serving clients in the real estate industry? So I have seen the ebbs and the flows, the ups and the downs, the inside and out and everything in the real estate industry. So, what goes up must come down. What is in goes out, and all of the things. So, when we're talking about the ecosystem of real estate, I have a pretty good, vast handle and perspective on, how to look at the market, which that is very, very, very important. But when you're working with a home buyer, one of the things that you have to understand and know is the metrics and how a home buyer thinks, right? You got to get into where they shop, where do they play, where do they like to, do life outside of being inside of their home. So you could say that you have to dive into the psychology of that specific home buyer first. Why? Because you need to understand how to communicate with them. You need to know how to show up in the spaces and the places that they are. When we're talking about home buyers, they are really, really loyal. They're loyal to people who can serve them. But the interesting thing is, and it's not so interesting because we're in this age of AI, all things technology, almost 100% of buyers are scrolling and they're looking online to some degree, shape, form, or fashion before they ever contact a real estate professional. So if you are a real estate professional and you don't like social media, or you don't like using the internet, you don't like using AI tools, you're going to be left behind and you're probably going to miss a lot of your buyer pool. Hello. Hi, Pearl. Hey, Nia. How y'all doing? We're talking about serving the home buyer, how to. So I'm bringing this from the angle of serving a first-time home buyer as well as someone getting into the business, the real estate business, and you want to know how to serve your home buyer. So we started with understanding the psychology of that specific person. Where do they shop? Where do they like to play? Where are some of the restaurants? Where do they hang out? So you got to be able to show up and speak what their language and be relatable. Because once you do have a home buyer, and after 30 years, almost 100% of my business is referrals, they're going to be loyal for life. So there are some opportunities, there's going to be some challenges, but I am going to give you some steps to follow, right? You got to learn how to communicate, right? I know a lot of people is like, well, I'm shy, I'm an introvert. Thank y'all for sharing this video out, commenting and subscribing. A lot of people say, well, no, can I be in the real estate sales industry and I don't like to talk? Well, maybe you can help someone on a team do the administrative things in the back. But if you're going to be at the forefront, thank you for that like. If you're going to be at the forefront, of facing your client or your customer, you're going to have to understand who they are and know how to communicate. Now, once you make that one-on-one contact with them, if they prefer text, or if they prefer email, or all of those things that are in the background, then you got it. You understand that they want to communicate a certain way, but you cannot be a non-people person and be in the real estate industry. You may want to find another career. And so, for those who have been in the industry, understand this, that buying and selling, if you're serving buyers or sellers, it's very, very emotional. Now, for the seller, it is emotional, and you have to make sure that they've come to the conclusion and the decision that they do want to sell. Otherwise, it's going to be a it's going to be a hard transaction for you as a real estate professional, because every time you come close to bringing a ready, willing, and able buyer, they will find an excuse not to go under contract. So you'll know that there is some type of resistance there. Oh, Rebecca, hi. How are you from Brazil? What time is it there? Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Are you thinking about moving to the U.S. and, namely speaking, Texas? Yes, I am a licensed Texas real estate broker. Did I even introduce myself? I am the Roz Booker. I'm the principal broker, CEO of Our Brick Realty, where we birth dreams and build legacies in real estate. But back to our clients and customers, right? It's very, very emotional, and not so much as emotion, not unless a seller has not decided to emotionally detach from the home before they sell it. They're really about the dollars and cents. They're really about how much money are you as a real estate professional going to save me, right? How much can I get to keep? How much equity will I put in the bank as a result of using you? Now, for the buyer, it is super, super emotional. Hi, y'all. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. It is very super, super emotional. Why? There's something that's called remorse that happens. It could be a little bit of confusion. It could even be fear gripping them and choking them out and keeping them in a space of indecision. So, as a professional, if you are serving your clients, you want to be able to meet them in that emotion and kind of settle things down. And what I understand is, if you can help them overcome some of those challenges and roadblocks, and help them make an informed decision. Anybody can go on the internet, right? Chat GPT, Gemini, all that, and look up facts about how to, right? How to buy a house, but not many buyers or purchasers are going to want to spend $1 million, $2 million, $15 million, right? And put that in a slot machine and say, okay, give me a house. Why am I saying that? I've been in the real estate industry almost 30 years. And for 30 years, there's been a challenge. There's been an economic impact. There's been something that's incited or interfered. Come on now, as a disruption in our industry, and we are still here. So, what am I saying? There's going to always be a need for you, me, we, the industry, to utilize the professional services of a person that's breathing, that's bleeding, right? So, you got to know who you're serving. So if you're serving a younger clientele, if you're serving a single mom, if you're serving a single dad, if you're serving seniors, if you're serving someone who is single versus married, you have to be able to speak their language and understand some of the challenges and the roadblocks that they may encounter. Is this good so far? I want you to stay the course. Say, I am going to stay. Come on, they're not just buying bricks and mortar. They are buying legacy. They are buying a wealth building vehicle that they're going to be able to pass on for generations to come. Come on now. So it's an emotional decision first, right? And then a financial decision that is second. So let me tell you, if you're relatable, come on. If you're relatable, you're probably going to have a good experience working with your agent, and if your agent working with your client. Because if you can be relatable, that improves and that increases trust. Come on, people are still wanting to find those in our professional industry, those that they know, they like, and they trust, right? So if you can help solve a problem, if you can ease a specific client's or customer's fears, they're going to be able to trust you with their $1 million or 2 million, 5 million, 15 million. Come on now. So we as real estate professionals, we have to be able to coach and guide and mentor, not tell, not sell. Coach, guide, mentor, not tell, not sell. Coach, guide, mentor, right? Clients through the process, because information and data is coming at all of us every day, all day. So there's enough information and there's enough data out here for people to make what? A guesstimate decision, but what about an educated, informed decision based upon your relationship with a professional that you know, you like, and you trust? So here's kind of the cycle. You start with the, okay, as a client, I'm curious, I'm hopeful, okay, I've made a decision that I'm going to do this. And then by the time you get into the middle of that transaction, maybe there's been a little bump in the road, there's been a hiccup. You may be second guessing or double guessing. If I coulda, woulda, shoulda. And then by the time you get over the hump, you get to closing, you what? Sign the deed and you take ownership and get your keys. You have a sigh of relief, and there is a pride of ownership that comes with that. But there are some myths and there's some fallacies that we have to debunk along the way. Come on, every every oh my God. Am I being a little dyslexic right now? Under every myth is a moment of fear. So all of the remorse that we was talking about in the beginning, that if I coulda, woulda, shoulda, or I heard this, or my parents went through this, or I heard that my neighbor, oh, they had a horrible experience. What are some of the lies? What are some of the things that you think that a client would have to, especially in today's industry, have to overcome? Oh, do I pay compensation or do I not? Well, there are certain laws, right, that have come into play that have explicitly said, you know what, as a professional, you're going to have to explain who you represent. And it has to be crystal clear up front. What about, oh, do I need 20% down? No, you don't need 20% down. I have always been taught, my goodness, if you have credit, you don't need money. And if you got a lot of money, you don't need credit. Now, I need you to read between the lines, make that make sense. But that is so true. But no, if you have optimal credit, no, your professional who has been guiding you has a pool of professionals and lenders that know where the money is, that is looking for you because you have maintained what? Mature, good spending habits. So you deserve, by maintaining that credit status, you deserve to have the money to buy so that you can save the money that you've traditionally heard that you needed to save, thousands and thousands. You can do something else with that. Maybe send your kids to college or use it to, buy a vehicle. Maybe you do it, you use the money that you have been saving to furnish the house. Um, what about, oh, I got to pay off every single one of my debts first? No. If you talk to a lender professional first, that's why good counsel is awesome. They may tell you, no, medical bills don't count as much. I'm not saying not to pay your bills, but you may be down a rabbit hole, or turning the corner of doing something that could help you save that money. So always talk to a professional first. Oh my God, what about this one? Oh, the market is going to crash. Is the market going to crash? The market is going to crash. I heard the market is crashing. Well, let me tell you about Texas. I don't know about anywhere else because I'm licensed in Texas. Texas is a leader in job creation. Where there's jobs, there's going to be a need for people to have somewhere to stay, right? It just synonymous. Real estate, jobs, jobs, real estate, jobs, jobs, real estate. No, we are not crashing. What we have seen most recently, and apparently in this last 3 years, there's been some leveling off, some up leveling. There's been some adjustments in the market. Why? Because pre COVID, leading up to about 3 years ago, did you know the market had increased double digits every year consecutively? And over about a 7 year period, the market improved moved about 80%. Now go figure, where can you make that kind of money on an 80% return on your investment in 7 years? That's why home ownership is so important. And then some people just talk themselves out of it. It's like the cost of waiting could cost them the dream home that they want. So again, some of the things you believe, I need a whole lot of money. Hey, Arabella, how are you? No, you don't. If you maintain great credit, you don't need a lot of money. Oh, renting is cheaper. Well, I'll tell you what, at 100% interest rate, and that's what you're paying by your renting, and you're also sending the landlord's children to college on your dime, and you are funding the landlord's next investment property and their bucket list vacation. So, how long do you want to make your landlord rich? Well, you must have perfect credit. Well, we've already debunked that myth right there. So, the old mindset as a real estate professional would be, okay, I just got to get the deal closed. No, you have to be able to guide. You got to be able to mentor. You got to be able to coach your client, because remember, they are going to gravitate, because today's prospective buyer and customer and client, they are savvy. They are savvy with AI. They can find the information that you already know. But the thing is, they're not licensed. They don't know all of the legal risks. They don't know contracts. They're not competency in today's real estate law. Right. Local, state, and federal. Exactly. And they don't know how it all works together for them. Hi, for those that are just joining. I am the Roz Booker. I'm the principal broker, CEO of Our Brook Realty, where we birth dreams and build legacies in real estate. Thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing and subscribing. So some of the old mindsets of a professional could be, oh, I just sell homes. No, can I really tell you the truth? After 30 years of being in the real estate industry, I have never sold a home. Why? Because people, when they call me, when they come, when they reach out, when they text, when they email, they've already been sold on the decision that they want to buy or sell. So my thing is that I am selling service, and that's what we are. We are servant leaders in this industry, leading people professionally, what, to the finish line. And some people may feel okay. The old mindset, it could be, I'm just going to keep talking. I'm going to keep talking. But you have to be a great listener. I know I'm on this side of the camera, you're on that side of the camera. And if we were in a real life situation, I would be just taking a lot of notes, because I would be asking you, what are your wants? What are your needs? What are your must haves? And, what is your budget? How much you really want to spend? I would be asking a plethora of questions. But no, we should not be talking more as professionals. We should be what? Stop, drop, roll. Let's put a muzzle on it. Let's listen better. Let's listen better. Why listening is very important is because you can help clients stay centered to what they said they were needing in the beginning. Why don't you go ahead and put your questions, your comments in the comment section for me if you have anything at this point that you would like to ask. I have about another 15 to 20 minutes with you here, because I am getting ready to go and actually record a version of this, not the same, but a version of this presentation. I thought you could get the best of the best first. You get the first fruits. So we got to come from a place of just, okay, my real estate professional is my enemy. No, we are your friends, and we want to help you flow through the process. So we want to turn that confusion and that fear to clarity and competency. We want to be able to educate, and want to give you the confidence and help you as a professional make the most informed decision for your legacy and for your family. Okay, so let's talk about, well, how do we communicate? And what do you mean, coach? What are you talking about, Roz? What are you talking about? Well, we already said that buyers who are hesitant, that act confused, they will have remorse. Remorse is that thing, if I coulda, woulda, shoulda, can't quite make a decision. You feel overwhelmed, choked out, maybe like you're almost having an anxiety attack. Informed buyers do move forward. That's why real estate professional, you have to know your market. Sometimes you even have to be hyper local. When I say hyper local, you have to know the insides of the market that you are actually marketing to you in and farming, and the client that you are serving. You must know what they eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't mean literally, but kind of, sort of. You have to understand the psychology of the person that you are serving, right? And as a real estate professional, we have to simplify the process. Can you type that in? Simplify the process for me, Roz. Simplify the process for me. So there is an expectation, and we're going to map it out. Okay. First things first, never just ask for a list. If you are a prospective buyer, just don't call an agent, say, give me a list and I want to go look at properties. No, stop long enough to build a credible relationship, right? And that's going to be in a consultation, right? And agents alike, don't just send a list and say, meet me at this location. Well, first things first, I hope you understand that because of laws that have just taken place and in effect, especially here in Texas, we cannot open a door. Did you know that? We cannot open a door to any home without a written agreement. Doesn't have to be a fiduciary relationship, meaning it does not have to be an agency relationship. But there does have to be an understanding, right? That I don't represent you. I'm not providing you any type of real estate advice. I'm really just showing you this property. But in the event you should want to employ me, here's the next steps. And that's when your broker, whoever your brokerage is, they have their policies and procedures, and they should know, and they will know that there is a buyer tenant representation agreement at that point before that person even enters into writing an offer that has to be executed and signed. That one was for free. Okay. Then you have to have a plan of communication. Not everybody, especially, we'll just say the seasoned generation, they may not understand text. They may want an email, right? They may not want you blowing their phone up. If they are a millennial client, they may only want a text, right? And will really frown upon you calling them. Like, no, I text you, so text me back. So that's the psychological aspect of the communication that we're talking about. What about active listening? Okay, you have to be able to hear what your client is saying and what they're not saying. Sometimes what they are saying is not what they mean, and the thing that they won't say, you have to understand. You got to dig and ask those questions so you can get the answers that you need as a professional to align them with their goals, right? Because we said in the beginning that this was very, very emotional. So when you hear somebody saying, well, I'm just afraid I'm just going to blow it, my whole savings. I'm really scared, right? If you have somebody that's suffering from a spirit of lack or of poverty, or just I've had a bad experience, what are you going to say as a professional? You're going to calm their anxious vibe down and say, you know what, let's talk through this. What does this really sound like for you? What are you really meaning? Let's talk about how we can possibly protect your investment. So if it's what mortgage protection insurance, if it's, oh, after I close on my house, right, I need to increase my life insurance by 300, 400, 500,000, so be it. But you have to unlayer and uncover really what they are saying or not saying. What if they're saying, well, I'm just not sure, if I can really afford this? So then what could your answer be? Well, let's revisit and let's explore realistically, based upon your budget. I know what the lender said that you're approved for, but let's let's really uncover what your budget is today and where you think your budget may be, what, in 3 to 4 years. Because what could happen? You could have a solution where they could possibly do a 2-1 or a temporary buy down on the interest rate that could put them in a win-win situation where they can still afford the home that they want, that they are qualified for, but have lower payments. But see, it takes a wonderful, awesome real estate professional who have studied, who knows the market, who knows enough to be dangerous I say that as a cliche, but knows enough to be able to guide their client from a lender's perspective, but not get in a lender's lane. So here's some things not to say. Don't say, well, your DTI ratios, they're going to impact the kind of house that you can buy. And, so that's a little brash. That's a little rough. And I would say a little unprofessional. What could you say? You could say, well, you know what? Your debt to income ratio, it may impact what you can borrow today. So I may want you to consider not buying that vehicle right now. Why do we know that? Why do we say that? Because we know what? The lower your debt to income ratio, the higher your buying power is. House before the car. A lot of people go get these expensive cars and they have no garage to put it in. And I'm not being patronizing, but that's where making an informed decision comes in. That's where helping people make an informed decision. Yeah, a car is a necessity, but is it? If you have a goal in mind, and maybe in 2 years you will have saved enough to purchase a home, but by the time you get to that point, you have enough just to purchase a car as well. Well, if your client knew that their $500, $600, $800 a month mortgage payment on wheels, aka vehicle, was going to keep them from purchasing their first home or their dream home or their investment property, would you withhold that from them as a real estate professional? Maybe they would have made an informed decision. You know what? I can do Uber one way and, carpool back, or set up a carpool situation, or I'm able to take the public bus line for that 2 years to sacrifice until I first got my house, so that it did not impact my debt to income ratio. Because look, you had plans that your budget would be decreased by what? Your spending decreasing, and as well as that promotion that you're in line for. So again, emotional first, financial second. Stay connected in communication to declutter. Stay connected throughout the communication. As a client, as a customer, did you tell your agent, hey, check in with me once a week? Or if you know upfront that they are a very apprehensive person and they're really nervous, could you have said, okay, I see you. I'm going to need to check in every 3 days with them, every 3 or 4 days. In that case, you want to be the first person to make that communication, that call. You don't want to be the one receiving the call as a professional, because by that time you're having to put out a fire in their emotions, or what? Solve another problem to the problem. And now they're looking at you as what? Less than professional, because you have not met the expectation for how you were going to communicate upfront. Does that make sense? Okay. Always give them some next steps and the reminders as to what's going to take place. Why? Because this is like new. This is like treading uncharted territory. It's like, okay, take me fast, but take me slow. What's next? And sometimes when people know where they're stepping next and what's to come, they feel better about their transaction. Be sure to educate so that they make an informed decision, but don't put the fire hose over their mouth. And I'm talking to agents. Don't put the fire hose over their mouth. They may not be able to absorb 10 steps. And then you're going to tell them, well, I told you step 9 6 weeks ago. Well, you may need to tell them step 1, 2, and 3 for 3 weeks straight. And then what? Step 4, 5, and 6, 8 or 9 times. So just because you wrote it down, just because you emailed it, just because you texted to them, and just because you told them once doesn't mean that they got it. So um, you can't check that box off as a real estate professional. Repeat things are very, very important over and over and over. Repeat those key ideas at each milestone, of the transaction, and use more visuals than paragraphs and dissertations, right? Always back things up in an email that's very, very important. I mean, that's CYA, but it is also a reference and it's a good practice. But tell them what you told them. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Then tell them what you're telling them. And then tell them what you told them. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Then tell them. Then tell them what you told them. I know I'm not probably saying that entirely right, but always back it up. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Explain what they're about to hear. And then get into, I'm explaining what I'm telling you. And then go back and recap. This is what we talked about. Does that make sense? Awesome. Give them a guidebook. You know what? Several AI tools that are out there. You have several lender partners, title partners, real estate agents that can help you construct a beautiful, beautiful glossary of terms. The steps to home buying, put a roadmap there, right? A prep and mortgage kit, a budget outline. Visual is better. Visual, as many visual aids as possible. Research tells us that we are visual people. We see pictures before we see words most often. Use charts and graphs to walk through the process. Okay. Visual aids reinforce what the progress is. Use milestones, use trackers to let them know, okay, remember we talked about the 10 steps. Remember we talked about the 75 touches that is really a part of this process. You're at number 50, right? You're at process number 55. But have some measures of progress so that they are encouraged to get to the end. And always simplify it. You know what? Even if it's a hard conversation that you have, simplify it. Simplify what the roadmaps looks like. I'm an advocate for sitting down again with clients and going through the real estate consultation first, right? And you're going to talk to them about the pre-approval process. You're going to talk to them about, okay, this is what happens in the offer stage, and this is what happens in the closing stage, right? Mentoring and coaching, this guides people. But closers and those who just want to stick that fire hose over your mouth and give you information and told you I told you so. Not so much. So coaching means that you ask a lot of questions. Remember I said you got to be a great listener. Ask lots of questions. That unlocks understanding, right? And convincing, that means the pushy closer. Um, those are statements that you make that force people into a corner, right? And you don't want to. You want to make sure that at every interval they seek to understand. Build that momentum one step at a time. Every small step that's accomplished, this creates proof that they can do it. They can do it. Can you say, I can do it? That's the kind of professional I am. I want to walk with you through the journey, not lag behind you being unprofessional and a lazy professional, and not run ahead of you thinking I'm a super shero and that I've shoved all of this data into your inbox, your text, or in your face and said, well, you know what, make a decision. You got it. I understand that this is emotional. This is one of the biggest financial decisions that you'll ever make. And you need to know, like, and trust the person. What about breaking down in that consultation? Hey, here are the steps. You got to get pre approved first, right? That lender, once you know how much to go shopping for, he's going to give you a commitment letter. Then we're going to sit down and have a consultation, and we're going to start your property search. You're going to give me your wants and needs, and we're going to plug that into the system, right? And then once we find you a home, we're going to get you under contract. And it's not a done deal. What to you and the seller agree to the terms. So help them at every interval understand. And then when we get to closing, you have to understand, the legality, right, of what they are signing. You have to tell them that the escrow officer or the attorney is going to be able uh, to help them navigate and understand the documents that they are signing, which legally makes the home that they are purchasing theirs, and celebrate every win at every interval, every milestone. Oh my God, you pre-approved. Woo, let's go have some martinis. Oh my God, the offer was accepted and executed. It is time. Let's go get some Starbucks or something. And that reinforces the confidence that the client needs to get to the next step. And what? Now they understand, know, and believe that they could not have done it without you. And I'm talking to the real estate professionals, but it's a process. Okay. It is a process. There are some pressure points, there are going to be some roadblocks, but it is going to pay off. We talked about it before a little bit. What is the process? Well, you got the consultation. You want to make an informed decision. This is where you begin to build that relationship. You got the pre-approval. You got the home search, right? You got the offer stage. You got to go under contract, and then closing, and then beyond. That's really important, and beyond, because we as real estate professionals have been accused of just getting ghost after, right, the transaction closes, and they don't hear from us in what until we want to help them sell the house. Come on, I can speak for us as real estate professionals. But it's a lifelong relationship with me. After 30 years of being in this industry, I've sat down with, gosh, my clients' kids who were lab kids, and now their kids are having babies, getting married, and purchasing homes. So let's talk a little bit about the consultation. This is a pressure point for some. Okay, this is where you have to unlayer and uncover any unrealistic expectation. I want a 6 bedroom house, 4.5 bath for $200,000. Where are you gonna do that at? Where are you gonna get that? You gonna go to Depot and build a replica of it that's scaled to the size of a doghouse? I mean, you really gotta speak the truth in love. You just gotta be, very real with your clients. And as an agent, your focus should be, ask those questions right, early. Have you seen this before? Where did you see a 6 bed, 4 bath for 200 before? I can say maybe 30 years ago, 20 years ago, right? This could have happened. That's why, you can't be overzealous and just be looking at the dollars and the compensation, real estate professionals. You just have to be real, because not all money is good money. I got a little bit of gray hair from working with some clients who have caused me to lose a little bit of sleep and a little bit of hair, but that's okay. I'm still here. I love my clients. But if you skip over the important questions during the discovery phase, maybe in for a long, long, long process and a long journey with your clients. Pre approval and budgeting. Okay, what is the pressure point here? Okay, the home price sticker could be a shock or cause your client to be confused based on their realistic expectations for what they can get in their budget. Okay. Why don't you, as a real estate professional, translate with the lender? Hey, what does their pre-approval really mean? What other programs do you have? Do you have some interest rate buy downs? How can we put them in a position to buy the home that they really want? Because obviously the homes that they have been looking at versus what they're really approved for based on their debt to income ratio, their income, their assets, and what they have to pay out every month is quite different in terms of what they can afford. Okay, collaborate, real estate professionals, with the lender. Just don't take the lender's letter and go shopping. Develop that relationship with the lender. Maybe get them on a video call, get them on a three-way with the specific client so that you understand what the lender has been communicating with the client, right? And then you understand what the maximum out of pocket allowables are that that specific lender can pay on behalf of the buyer. Why does that matter? Because you will be a engineer in negotiating, right? Up front, and you don't have to kill a deal or let a deal die because you were not informed yourself. Let's talk about the home search. Okay. The pressure point there could be okay, I'm moving from totally being a renter now to a mortgage payment. And it could be, wow, you can go at every corner. There's a new multifamily coming up, and they're luxurious. They're starting to build them like homes on the inside. So, you take someone that's paying 1,900, 2,000, 2,300, and you're like, okay, but I'm approved for 250. The difference between what that looks like. Mm, and what a 230 or $300,000 home looks like could be a deal breaker, right? They could get into emotional fatigue. It's like, discouraged based on, oh God, in my apartment, I had all this luxury. I could go to the clubhouse, I could call the maintenance person, right? Or I've been rejected this offer in this price range. There are so many multiple offers and I'm getting bid out. So the agent, what you need to focus on at that time is just go back and help them understand what were their priorities. You wanted to stop the bleeding, right? You wanted to become a homeowner. You know, 9 times out of 10, the first home is not. The first home is not the dream home. So the key is to start that equity building, start the legacy, right? Just stop the hemorrhaging in terms of throwing away rent. Okay. If you can help them revisit their wants and their needs, you know what? That could be a great reality check. And sometimes it just may not be the right times, but a lot of times there's that remorse that we've been talking about settling in. That if I coulda, woulda, shoulda, and this may not be right. But after year after year after year in a healthy okay market, a 3 to 4 or 3 to 5% increase in market value, they'll start to see, wow, in 5 years, man, I'm going to be able to sell this property and I'm going to be able to cash out or use X amount toward my real dream home. Or for those who are single, right? A lot of single ladies are buying properties and they're outpacing the single male. No offense against the single male, but as women, right, who are professionals, who are thriving. You're making enough money to buy, but you're sitting back and you're saying, I'm going to wait on the knight in shining armor. No, go ahead and purchase that condo, purchase that townhome, and then make that your first investment property when the knight in shining armor does come and sweep you off your feet. You already have your first investment property. And if you're in Texas, and the disclaimer is I'm not an attorney, but I will say this, we are a community property state. You will have purchased your own property in your name first before you get married. So that property will be separate. But anyway, going on to the next step, making that offer, right? What is the pressure point there? Oh, did I overpay? Or am I missing out on anything? Am I leaving anything out on the table? And that's where, as a real estate professional, you have to articulate your value very much so upfront, right? And present yourself as a negotiating engineer. And that's my title. I'm a negotiating engineer, right? Educate them along the journey. Let them know what's feasible, what's reasonable, what's not, what you can and what you realistically cannot do. Use data to back it up, right? And if you have a client that's just being totally unreasonable, right, about an offer that they want to make, you can just tell them simply, you are going to be wasting your time, but I'll do what you want me to do. right? So, and then getting under contract. That is where we want to be. And not just contract, we want to get to closing, right? Closing and beyond. I tell you, it's the beyond that I am really in love with as a real estate professional. Like I mentioned, to see lap children who were sitting on their parents' lap 20, 25, 30 years ago, and now they're purchasing property. I'm like, yeah. That's why I got into the business, birthing dreams, building legacy. And the legacy that we're talking about is the legacy wealth that follows us, right? That we pass on to our children and our children's children by paying that mortgage every month. And here's the key. For those who are saying, wow, just things are too terrible right now. There's inflation, the interest rates are too high, there's a war going on, da 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 da. All those are just excuses. They're really excuses. Now, I am a woman, I am a believer that God put us here. And there is land that we are to take possession of. And why not own where you lay your head? Okay. And why not start your family's equity and your legacy building? Because the truth is, you do have to pay a mortgage. It may as well be your own instead of the landlord's mortgage, instead of the developer's pocket, instead of the property management's fees, right? It may as well be your own mortgage. So staying connected, and agents are notorious for this. It's like, okay, I got my compensation check, and I'll see you in the next world when you want to sell in 10 to 15 years if you're still in the industry. But stay connected. On anniversaries, holidays, birthdays, do pop buys every 6 months. Just check in. Hey, do you need a contractor? When did they get married? Check in on their kids' birthdays, the anniversaries, right? And one thing that I just want to ask you, what do you think today that a buyer needs most? And if you're coming back for the replay, I really want to hear from you. What do you need most from an agent? And without you saying, I don't need an agent because everything I need is online and I'm going to represent myself. Okay, no, I don't want to talk to that person. I want to talk to the person who will really, 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 really value a real estate professional and what they bring to the table. Well, what do you need? What do you need? Okay. And as a real estate professional, what would you want to say to your clients today, right? To help them understand that I know you want to do this alone. I know you want to go solo. I know you want to do this by yourself, but you shouldn't and you can't. And here's why. What would be your value? Thank y'all so very much. I am in the North Texas area. And again, I am the Roz Booker. I'm the principal broker, CEO of Arbrook Realty, where we birth dreams and build legacies in real estate. And I am here to help make your dream come through and true. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. Share this video out as many times as you need to. It's out here in the cloud, it's out here on the web, and it's going to outlive me. And I pray that whoever comes across this video, you know that you are blessed and you are so special. And that you're already rich because you've decided that you are going to buy. And as a real estate professional, know your worth, know your value, and know how to articulate it. Bye bye.